Hey everyone, I'm going to be showing you a sort of build log slash tutorial on how I made my antler headpiece for an Aeon cosplay. What I used to make this were a pair of scissors, some paper clay, acrylic paint in the colors that I needed, and some really super bendy wires, and these were part of a clothes hanger that I wasn't using anymore. Some tin foil, and things that I forgot to include were sandpaper, and I also used gesso. So I already have my base made, and this is made out of warbler. It's just the front part that will kind of point down towards my nose. And so to make the antler part of it, I needed to make the wires a little thicker. So what I did was I folded the wires directly in half, and obviously you can see that was pretty easy because they are so flexible. And then I kind of sized it up to see how it would fit on there. I didn't want them to be too long, obviously, and I was able to trim them really easily. And then to make them even more thicker, I used a layer of tin foil. And I just basically, just wrapped it around and trimmed it and then smoothed it out as best as I could. Obviously, tinfoil isn't really that smooth. But you can make it the thickness you want. And sometimes I noticed that some people can go a little over thick with their antlers, and that's something I definitely wanted to avoid. And just keep in mind, you will be adding a layer of clay if you're doing it this way on top of this, so you don't want the tinfoil to be too thick. As you can see, I've already attached one of the side of the antlers. I just wanted to kind of troubleshoot it by myself and get it done. So here's the paper clay, and I have a wet paper towel to kind of smooth it out, because otherwise it'll be all cracked and sad. If you have a rolling pin, seriously use a rolling pin for this. We don't have one, so I used the Gorilla Glue to roll out the clay. But basically what I wanted was a thin layer of clay, kind of like how you would like dough or anything like that. And then what I did was just wrapped it in a layer of clay. And then you kind of just have to sit there and smooth it out, and that's where the wet rag comes into play. It'll smooth out the wrinkles, just any excess cracking, and this process can take a while, and I had to do it a couple times just to make sure that it would be smooth. So attaching the antler to the warbler base was obviously the hard part for me. So what I kind of did is I cut out a rectangular piece that pretty much matched up with the warbler. And then it would gradually kind of mold itself into the antler piece I had already pre-made. So you can see here I'm cutting kind of the shape of the edge of the warbler piece, and that will attach to the antler on the front. Attaching the antler on the back, as you can see, it's pretty messy back there. It's going to attach to my head, so I really didn't care. I used E6000 glue. And once this stuff dries, it is sturdy as hell. Oh my god. Okay, so I just let that dry overnight just to make sure that it was completely set and everything. And here you can see I'm attaching the rectangular piece to the front, getting it wet, and kind of making a smooth, gradual incline, I guess you would say, from the warbler piece to the antler piece. And I wrap it around, and then this was just, taking that wet rag and just molding it and molding it and molding it until it became or looked like one cohesive piece. And I had to take away clay, add clay, so it wasn't too jagged or anything. So adding the little, I don't know what you would call them, little nubs that antlers naturally seem to have. I just drew out the shape I wanted on to the clay itself, and just cut it out. Now, attaching these is easy. It's just like the wet rag method, where you kind of bloop it on and just kind of mush it onto the clay already. The thing you have to be careful about is I didn't put any like wire or any backing on it, so they're very fragile. So I think even one of them fell off while I was making this. So that's something you kind of have to be aware. Since they're so small on mine, I didn't really care too much that they didn't have any wiring in them or anything. I just felt like it wasn't really worth it since they're so tiny. But that's something you should look out for when they're drying and everything like that. That it's going to be a little hard. And then here's the super boring part that I hate when making cosplay is sanding. I just took a really fine grit and just sanded the clay smooth because there was some ripples in it. And I don't know if you've ever worked with paper clay, you know it cracks and does little silly things. So I completely sanded the whole front of this. After getting a nice sand, I did gesso layers. I think I did about 7 or 8 layers of gesso. And I did the front and the back, even though the back isn't going to be seen. The triangle part won't be seen from the back, but the top will. And then after the gesso's all done drying, after you've done your layers and everything, you just start sanding it and smoothing out that gesso. And it will create a really, really nice smooth layer for your paint to be ready. The type of paint that I'm doing for this antler piece was complete black and then gold highlights around the edges. And so obviously it's pretty simple, not really too much to talk about. With the gold, I did use it sparingly and kind of just smash my brush along the edge to kind of give it like a weathered sort of look. Here's the final results. I hope this was interesting / maybe might have helped some of you on how to make an antler piece. When I was looking around, there weren't too many tutorials for what I was looking for.